Welcome back to Breakup Cheater, where the calm surface hides the deepest betrayals. Tonight's story is about a man who thought he knew his wife after nearly 10 years of marriage, until one business trip revealed just how far a lie can travel. Stay with me, because what starts as quiet suspicion will end in a cold, calculated strike you'll never forget. After nearly a decade of marriage, Daniel and Marissa Hart looked like the kind of couple people admired from a distance. They had stable careers, a warm and tastefully decorated home, and long-term plans that stretched comfortably into the future. Marissa, a high-performing executive at a well-known marketing firm, was always on the move. Boardrooms one week, airports the next. Daniel worked remotely as a financial analyst, spending his days buried in market reports and investment forecasts. Life was orderly, predictable, and outwardly happy. But beneath the surface, a small, almost imperceptible crack had begun to spread. In the early years, Daniel loved Marissa's ambition. Her late nights at the office and occasional weekend business trips were signs of her determination, and he'd been proud of her drive. But over time, those trips became longer and more frequent. First, it was a few days in Chicago, then an entire week in New York. Later, back-to-back conferences in Atlanta and Los Angeles. There was also something else, a name that kept slipping into her conversations. Adrian Kane, her boss. At first, it was harmless enough. Little mentions about how Adrian liked my pitch, or Adrian thought I handled the meeting well. But Daniel began to notice how her voice softened when she said his name, how her eyes lit up just slightly, and how she seemed glued to her phone late at night, lying in bed with her back turned to him, the dim glow of the screen reflecting off her face. He told himself it was just stress, maybe even innocent. But doubt has a way of spreading like mold, slow, invasive, and corrosive. Then one evening, she came home with an announcement. "There's a big marketing summit in San Diego," she said, her tone light but tinged with excitement. "Adrian's going, along with a few others from the team. It's going to be a great opportunity for me." "San Diego. Again." Daniel smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. "I'm glad it's a good opportunity," he said evenly. She didn't notice his restrained tone. She was already pulling out a suitcase and carefully selecting outfits. Daniel's eyes caught details she probably assumed would go unnoticed. A few expensive new dresses, a fresh haircut, and a delicate piece of lingerie he'd never seen before. That was the moment he stopped pretending. What Marissa didn't know was that Daniel had already booked a ticket on the same flight, choosing a seat far enough away to remain invisible. He followed her to the airport, blending into the crowd like any other traveler. On the plane, he saw her lean in close to Adrian, laughing at something he said, their hands brushing in a way that was anything but professional. When they landed, Daniel watched them check into the same beachfront resort. He didn't confront them. Not yet. He booked his own room under a different name and observed from a distance, seeing them share intimate dinners, linger over drinks, and finally, disappear together into the same hotel suite. Whatever doubt he'd been holding on to was gone. She hadn't just lied to him. She had crossed a line there was no coming back from. That night, Daniel didn't sleep. Instead, he made calls, first to his lawyer, then to a private investigator, and finally to his bank. The next morning, he began quietly gathering proof. Discreet photos, surveillance footage, copies of messages and emails. He wasn't looking for a shouting match or public scene. He wanted precision, finality, impact. By the time they returned home, Daniel had everything he needed. Marissa walked through the door with a bright smile, kissed him on the cheek, and launched into an enthusiastic recap of her work trip. She spoke of networking, panels, and big new ideas. Daniel nodded, playing the part of a supportive husband for a few more days while he finalized his plan. The night of the reveal, they went to one of their old favorite restaurants, a quiet place full of memories that now felt poisoned. Over wine and dim lighting, Daniel slid a small gift box across the table. Marissa's brows lifted in surprise. She opened it to find an unmarked envelope. Her smile faltered. Inside were printed photographs, screenshots of messages, and still images from hotel security footage. Her face went pale. "Daniel, what is this?" "It's everything," he said coldly. "Everything you've been pretending wasn't happening." "I can explain," she stammered. He didn't let her. "I've already filed. The papers are with my lawyer. And Adrian. He'll be getting his own package tomorrow." Daniel stood, left money for the bill, and walked out, leaving her frozen in shock. The following morning, Adrian received a thick envelope at his office. Copies also went directly to the firm's HR department and the CEO. The evidence was damning. Proof of an affair with a subordinate, a clear breach of corporate policy and ethics. Within days, Adrian resigned under pressure. As for Marissa, the collapse was swift. Her marriage, her career, and her carefully guarded secret life all crumbled in a single week. He called. He texted. She even showed up at Daniel's office. He never responded. Months later, Daniel had moved into a new place, taken a sabbatical, and started living quietly. No drama, no noise, no regrets. He hadn't done what he did out of spite. It was about truth, closure, and reclaiming his life. And in the end, he got exactly that. Thank you for listening to tonight's story. If it gripped you, don't forget to subscribe, tap that notification bell, and give this video a thumbs up. It helps us keep bringing you tales of betrayal, justice, and the chilling truths people try to hide. Trust me, you won't want to miss what's coming next.